Welcome to episode 3 of CSS tutorial series, CSS backgrounds. The CSS background properties are used to add background effects for elements. In this chapter, you will learn about the following CSS background properties: background color, background image, background repeat, background attachment, background position, and background shorthand property. CSS background color. The background color property specifies the background color of an element. The background color of a page is set like this: body curly bracket, background color colon light blue semicolon. With CSS, a color is most often specified by a valid color name like red, a hex value like hashtag, F tetra 0 in double quotation, and RGB value like RGB of 25500 in double quotation. Look at CSS color values for a complete list of possible color values, other elements. You can set the background color for any HTML elements. Example, here the h1p and div elements will have different background colors. h1 curly bracket background color green, div background color light blue, p background color yellow. Opacity slash transparency. Actually, through analysis, I have found that opacity is the antonym or opposite word of transparency. It means that the more opaque a thing is, it is less transparent. Okay, the more opaque, the less transparent, and the more transparent, the less opaque. The opacity property specifies the opacity slash transparency of an element. It can take a value from 0.0 to 1.0. The lower value, the more transparent. That's what I said. Opacity 1, least transparent, maximum value for opacity, and it is least transparent. Opacity 0.6, opacity 0.3, opacity 0.1. So what can you expect for opacity 0.0? Not only it is fully transparent, but even the text is not seen at all. What is the text? Opacity and the value. Example, div background color green, opacity 0.3. Note, when using the opacity property to add transparency to the background of an element, all of its child elements like the text inherit the same transparency. This can make the text inside a fully transparent element hard to read. Okay. Transparency using RGBA. So that was background color directly and then opacity, fine. But now transparency using RGBA. If you do not want to apply opacity to child elements like in our example above, use RGBA color values. The following example sets the opacity for the background color and not the text. See, no matter what is the value of opacity, the text is fully displayed. You learned from our CSS colors chapter that you can use RGB as a color value. In addition to RGB, you can use an RGB color value with an alpha channel RGBA, which specifies the opacity for a color. An RGBA color value is specified with RGBA red, green, blue, alpha. The alpha parameter is a number between 0.0 fully transparent and 1.0 fully opaque. Tip: you will learn more about RGBA colors in our CSS colors chapter. Example div background colon RGBA. So they did not write background color, they only write RGB the background. So test for background hyphen color colon RGBA 0, 20, 128, 0, 0.3. So this is not fully green, this has to be a light green, and also the opacity is 0.3, which is very close to transparency. Green background with 30% opacity. The CSS background color property. Property description. Background color sets the background color of an element. Okay, let's go to the next chapter. CSS background image. CSS background image. The background image property specifies an image to use as the background of an element. By default, the image is repeated, so it covers the entire element. Example: set the background image for a page. Body, background image, URL, double quotation, paper.gif, fine. Example: this example shows a bad combination of text and background image. The text is hardly readable. Background image, URL of pgdesert.jpg. When using a background image, use an image that does not disturb the text. The background image can also be set for specific elements like the P element. P background image URL paper.gif. The CSS background image property. Description. Background image sets the background image for an element. Okay, let's go to the next chapter. CSS background image repeat. CSS background repeat. By default, the background image property repeats an image both horizontally and vertically. Some images should be repeated only horizontally or vertically, or they will look strange, weird, like this. Body, background image, URL of gradient underscore pg.png. If the image above is repeated only horizontally, background repeat repeat hyphen x semicolon, the background will look better. Body, background image, URL of gradient underscore pg.png, background repeat background repeat x. Tip: to repeat an image vertically, set background and hyphen repeat colon repeat y. Okay. CSS background repeat. No repeat. Showing the background image only once is also specified by the background repeat property. Let me read that once again. Showing the background image only once is also specified by the background repeat property. Example: show the background image only once. Body: background image, URL of image tree png, background repeat, no repeat. In the example above, the background image is placed in the same place as the text. We want to change the position of the image so that it does not disturb the text too much. Okay. CSS background position. The background position property is used to specify the position of the background image. Position the background image in the left top right corner. Body: background image of URL img tree.png, background repeat, no repeat, background position right top. The CSS background repeat and position properties. Property description: background position sets the starting position of a background image. Background repeat sets how a background image will be repeated. Let's go to the next chapter. CSS background attachment. CSS background attachment. The background attachment property specifies whether the background image should scroll or be fixed. Will not scroll with the rest of the page. Example: specify that the background image should be fixed. Body: background image, URL of image tree.png, background repeat, no repeat, background position right top, background attachment fixed. Image: specify that the background image should scroll with the rest of the page. Body: background image, URL image tree png, background repeat, no repeat, background position right top, background attachment scroll. And previously background attachment was fixed, now it is scroll. Okay. The CSS background attachment property. Property description: background attachment sets whether a background image is fixed or scrolls with the rest of the page. Now let's go to the next chapter. These chapters are very small and tiny. CSS background shorthand. CSS background shorthand property. To shorten code, it is also possible to specify all the background properties in one single property. This is called the shorthand property. Instead of writing body background color hashtag everything is F 6 hexa F, it means it has to be white. So background image, URL of image tree png, background repeat, no repeat, background position right top. Instead of this, you can use the shorthand property background. Use the shorthand property to set the background properties in one declaration. Background hashtag hexaf. It stands for the background color. URL of image tree png, it stands for the background image. No repeat, it stands for the background repeat. And right top is actually stands for the background image position. Okay. When using the shorthand property, the order of the property values is this order is very crucial. First of all, you have to specify the color, then the image repeat, then attachment, and then the image, then the background position. Okay. So once again, first of all, background color, background image, background repeat, background attachment, and then background position. It does not matter if one of the property value is missing, as long as the other ones are in this order. Note that we do not use the background attachment property in the examples above. It does not have a value. Okay. Test yourself with exercises. Exercise. Set the background color of H1 element to light blue. H1 background hyphen color. Okay, this should be it. Now let's all CSS background properties. Property description. Background sets all the background properties in one declaration. Fine. Background attachment sets whether a background image is fixed or scrolls with the rest of the page. Background clip specifies the painting area of the background. Background color sets the background color of an element. Background image sets the background image for an element. Background origin specifies whether the background images are positioned. Background position sets the starting position of a background image. Background repeat sets how a background image will be repeated. Background size specifies the size of the background image. Now let's go to the next chapter. CSS borders. Okay. The CSS border properties allow you to specify the style, width, and color of an element's border. I have borders on all sides. I have a red bottom border. I have rounded borders. I have a blue left border. CSS border style. The border style property specifies what kind of border to display. Okay. The following values are allowed. Dotted defines a dotted border. Dashed defines a dashed border. Solid defines a solid border. Double defines a double border. Group defines a 3D grouped border. The effect depends on the border color value. Ridge defines a 3D ridged border. The effect depends on the border color value. Inset defines a 3D inset border. The effect depends on the border color value. Outset defines a 3D outset border. The effect depends on the border color value. None defines no border. Hidden defines a hidden border. The border style property can have from 1 to 4 values for the top border, right border, bottom border, and the left border. Example: demonstration of the different border styles. P dotted border style dotted. P dashed border style dashed. P solid border style solid. P double border style double. P group border style group. P ridge border style ridge. P onset inset border style inset. P dot outset border style outset. P dot none border style none. P dot hidden border style hidden. P dot mix border style dotted dashed solid double. These are the results. First of all, we had dotted, then we had dashed, and after that solid, and then double. Remember this four. Third one is solid, and the fourth one is double. If you can see now, okay. What is the fifth? Fifth is group, sixth is ridge, seventh is inset, and eighth is outset. Let's see those. Group. This is group border. This is ridge border. So group border, ridge border. This is inset border. This is outside border. Okay. This is no border, this is hidden border, and this is the mixed border. See? Mixed border. Dotted, dashed, solid, and also double. These are the four mixtures. Let's see the mixed. Dotted, dashed, solid, and then double. Okay. So the upper one is dotted and the right one is dashed, the lower one is solid and the left one is double. Note, none of the other CSS border properties which you will learn more about in the next chapters will have any effect unless the border style property is set. Yes. We could have gone to the next chapter, but we will not since it is over 20 minutes. Let me read the last thing once again. None of the other CSS border properties which you will learn more about in the next chapter will have any effect unless the border style property is set. Okay. So now let me close this chapter. Now I invite you to watch the fourth episode of the CSS tutorial series, and until then, have a great day.